Ryan, this is Garrison, and this is John.
We're going to be talking about what Project Maelstrom is, how it came to be, and why you should come.
About 5 years ago, I had a dream of having an overnight airsoft event out of my house in Franklin, Texas. Being 12 years old, that didn't happen for a whole long time. So I approached Garrison, got him in on the idea, and eventually it happened. We had about 7 guys out and had an all-night event. It was fun. People were talking about it for weeks, and that kind of gave us the starting point for Project Maelstrom. After that, we came up with an official name. We kind of find out the details, and eventually Ryan got added to the team. So now the 3 of us have been going at it for 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah, about 3 years.
3 years, and we're coming up on our 3rd major event. We've had a few minor ones in between. But yeah, that's pretty much the story of how it came to be. But you're probably wondering what it is. So Garrison?
So in effect, what these are pretty long, usually one-day airsoft kind of open world scenarios where you show up, you bring all your gear, and we have one main story with a bunch of different missions and things you can do, and it's really up to you how you play it. And there's a bunch of different freedoms that we give you, and we just kind of build in a lot of different options for airsoft players.
Right. So you can kind of decide loosely what your uniform is. We have guidelines to give you. But pretty much you're free to do whatever you want as long as it's within the boundary of rules. And rules are pretty loose compared to other airsoft events. So that's kind of one of the independences that players kind of get whenever they come out. Ryan, being a player for at least one event, can give you a little more information on that and his point of view later on. But from an administrative point of view, these things are usually a real big success. People have a lot of fun. It's boosted by what we call NPCs kind of going around and directing players or sending them on missions or quests, which is always kind of fun. They can do anything from sell items to kill you on sight. So pretty random kind of toss up there. But yeah, they're just made to enhance the overall experience and get the story going in a way that we want it to.
And those NPCs are usually always one of us 3, just so that we know exactly what we're doing, we know how to prepare, and we really let the players get the best possible experience out of their time.
Right, perfect.
The event is invite only, but you're free to bring your family or friends as long as they're mature enough to follow the rules. And it being story driven, we'll even get the story going before the event has even started with teasers, trailers, and videos.
And there's a lot of lore and details that we put into those trailers and documents. Some of those things the players might not even see or really find out all of them, but we do it to provide kind of depth to the thing, so it doesn't feel like we're showing up here and just playing around. It feels like there's an actual event, which is what we want to get. That's what we want to get out of it.
Yeah, and watching those things can give you kind of a distinct advantage sometimes. Like, you'll know what a certain item looks like if you need to go after that item, or who is what in the story. So for example, last event, we had a Wild Western kind of cyberpunkish theme going on, where Garrison here was the sheriff, Ryan was a villain, and I was a shopkeeper. And if you had watched all the videos and trailers and posters we put out, you'd know who was who and who was good for what, as well as a little bit about the story. It's just kind of a fun way to get things going, if you know what I mean. One of the things that sets this event apart from other airsoft events is that it's set on 250 acres of land, privately owned. And so that kind of really encourages the open world aspect. You could be walking for like an hour, and by the time you get to the other side of things, you might not even be across the land yet. So that's kind of one of the nice aspects of this. It's a nice kind of way out in the country place to just dwell for the night and have some fun at an airsoft event.
But a quick note on that is we designed the maps such that you shouldn't be walking for an hour and nothing happens. Mm-hmm. Though that has happened in the past. We've gotten a lot better at avoiding that, so that's not something that you need to be worried about.
Right, yeah. So we kind of try to keep all the main stuff in one centralized area without too much like wooded stuff, so you're not kind of crashing through the brush to get to an objective or to speak to an NPC or something like that. But this is also sort of an overnight event, obviously, and we're not going to be playing airsoft the whole time. So Ryan can go ahead and tell you, besides just playing airsoft, we also kind of have fun at the event. So Ryan, you said you had a word about that?
Yeah, we kind of like hang around the campfire and then, spend the night. You don't have to spend the night if you don't want to, but we also might do some night airsoft activities in the dark or something like that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. And that kind of is a good way to segue into the reason why, one of the reasons why we do this is to it's a great way to build community and kind of meet new people in a really cool, really friendly environment that is, we're just a bunch of people hanging out, having a good time. And so it's just a really nice way to meet some new cool people. For sure.
Right, and even if you're not really into the whole airsoft scene, maybe you haven't paid like $1,000. Obviously, you don't have to, but we also, it's a great opportunity if you just wanted to come to an event and not even play airsoft. Maybe just stick around with an NPC or something. That's totally acceptable as well, and that's something we're kind of opening up in the future. So that's another great thing about these events is it's not immediately required that you play airsoft the whole time. So
yeah, that's totally. You can just get into like the story part of it and just, again, just running around, having fun.
Yep. Main thing is we're just here to have fun and obviously in a safe, pretty awesome environment. So yeah.
And another great thing about these events are if you are interested in playing airsoft but don't want to start investing money into it, these events are a great way to borrow some different airsoft replicas because we have some extras, and it's a good way to play around with it, get a feel for it, and see if it's for you. But yeah, that's kind of the main thing.
Yeah, we've had a couple people come out and we'll like lend them masks or like lend them airsoft replicas, and then they go out and buy their own like immediately after because they've had so much fun. So it's just a great way to kind of feel things out in airsoft as a sport as well as Maelstrom as an event.